and I wanted to do a video on how to practice Kongo spirituality. Part of the reason for coming up with this video is mainly because in the past couple of weeks or so, went ahead and we made a couple of videos talking about the Conjure tradition, the origin of it, and there was a lot of discussion, a lot of controversy, a lot of, things that was discussed. And one of the questions that kept coming up, one of the recurring questions that kept coming up was, how do you practice Kongo spirituality? And I felt that, let me go ahead and make a video on that, share my information, share my research, share my experience that would help you, those of you who are serious about practicing Kongo spirituality, so you can see, you can see where you are, okay? And this will help you on whatever path, wherever you're supposed to be going, okay? Before I begin, first thing I need to go in here and also explain is, like I've said before in all my videos, I'm not an expert in this. This is a subject that is, I hold dear to me, mainly because it pertained a lot to my path, my current path, and it's based upon my research, based upon people who are involved in some type of Kongo tradition. And this is, they were priests, they're practitioners or so. So this is based upon my research, based upon what I've read, based upon what I've experienced, based upon the people I've talked to. And like I said, this is what I'm sharing with y'all. Okay. So I really encourage you, if you're really serious about, practicing Kongo spirituality, especially if you're in North America, I really encourage you to go ahead and really watch the video in its entirety so that you can get whatever insight, encouragement, inspiration that the ancestors want to go ahead and provide you. Okay? So, first of all, excuse me, first thing we need to understand is that the Portuguese arrived in the Kongo Kingdom in 1482, 1483, somewhere around there. Okay? In 1491, the current king, of the Kongo Kingdom, he went ahead and he converted to Christianity. He wasn't forced. Nobody hoodwinked him or any of that. They didn't beat him over the head and all that kind of stuff. He voluntarily converted to Christianity, in around 1491. This is important to understand, because you hear a lot of people, they always want to talk about how, the white man went over there and he did this. That's not what happened, okay? It might have happened in certain areas, but that was not the case, okay? The Kongo Kingdom went ahead. He, like I said, he converted to Christianity. After he converted to Christianity, in honor of the Portuguese king, he changed his name to João. Or João the First. All right. Now, after he went ahead and he converted to Christianity, it was his son, whose name was, if I remember correctly, I believe it was Alfonso Mbemba Nzinga. Okay. Excuse me. It was Alfonso who went ahead, and when his father went ahead and passed along, he transferred power to his son Alfonso. But Alfonso was challenged by his brother, and his brother's name was Mpazu Akatima. Okay, and when his brother went ahead and challenged him and everything, they got into this. They got into this heavy, this heavy battle, and in the end, it was Alfonso who won. Now, Alfonso went ahead. He wrote a letter to the Portuguese, crown, and he stated in his letter that the reason why he was victorious over his brother was because it was the Virgin Mary and Saint James that appeared, and they helped him to win, or to defeat his brother. Okay, now this is very important, because there's a lot of theory I've come across, I've talked to, like I said, people from, people from all walks of life, people who dealt with this, who are again involved in some way, fashion, or form in the Kongo tradition or some Kongo tradition. But there's a theory that all the enslaved Africans, or a majority of the enslaved Africans that were from the Kongo-Angolan region, that were shipped over to the Americas, were actually allies of Mpuzo Katimba, okay, or Alfonso's brother, okay. Now, I'll let you go ahead and chew on that, think about that, discuss that with your ancestors, okay. But there's a reason why I'm going ahead and I dropped that down there for you so you can kind of think about that, all right. Now, when Alfonso goes ahead, after he defeats his brother and everything, he makes, Christianity the official religion of the land, okay? And when he makes Christianity the official religion of the land, he gives missionaries, hey, y'all got full power to go in there and convert our folks, convert these people, all right? I remember coming across a book that even stated that when Alfonso goes ahead and he gives them full power, okay, I mean, they had missionaries who was going into villages and they were raiding villages, taking out things, trying their best to get rid of anything that was, related to the Kongo way, because he was trying to stamp it out. Okay. Now, we're going to come back to that too. So as a result of that, the reason why I'm telling you that is because this means that all the Africans, first of all, the first Africans that was brought over here, the first enslaved Africans that were brought to the Americas, this includes North America, they all came from the Kongo-Angolan region. And this is the reason why everywhere where the Africans were taken during slavery, you always find a strong Kongo influence, okay? You'll see everybody else's influence and everything, but you'll see that strong Kongo-Angolan influence, and that's the reason why. They were the first enslaved Africans that were brought here, even here in North America, okay? Now, the other thing is that you have to keep in mind, because Christianity was the official religion, was made the official religion of the Kongo Kingdom, all the enslaved Africans that came from the Kongo-Angolan region, when they arrived here there in the Americas, they were either Christians or they were familiar with Christianity, okay? So they already arrived here with some idea what Christianity was about, all right? Gets a little bit deeper though. When King Alfonso, declares Christianity to be the official religion of the land, and he gives missionaries, hey, y'all got full power to go ahead and convert people to Christianity. When he went ahead and he did that, according to historical documents, there wasn't enough missionaries to actually go through and convert the people the way they wanted to. So as a result, they started going ahead and they started borrowing things and borrowing, terms to try to help the Kongo-Angolan people understand what the Christianity was, okay? So as a result, the original or the Old Kongo religion basically consisted of, there was a supreme being, okay? And the supreme being was Nzabi and Buko. There was a host of other little, spirits. You had high spirits, low spirits. The main spirits were basically your ancestors, which were called Bakulu. But you also had this a high type of spirit, which were called Simbis or Basimbi. The Basimbi basically were spirits that went ahead. For the most part, they were associated with water, pools of water, However, they could go ahead and manifest themselves in a rock or so. You had your, like I said, you had your ancestor spirits who were called Bakulu. And the Bakulu, they could also go ahead and for the most part manifest themselves in water as well, which was referred to. And the reason why they manifested themselves in water was because water referred to from the Congo cosmogram, the dikenga de Kongo, or Yawa cross. It referred to the Kalunga line, okay? And this is where the ancestors basically, they were passed through. They were passed through the spirit world or into the spirit world, which is called Mpimba, okay? Kuimpimba, all right? If I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, all right? So you had these different type of spirits. You also had, there was also some nature spirits that they had. Trying to think. You had some nature spirits, and the nature spirits in Kita, that's what it was. You had some in Kita, and there was another, in other areas, they may have called these spirits Kalundas, okay? So you had all these different types of spirits and stuff. That was the way the Old Kongo kingdom was. The Old Kongo religion was. But when the Portuguese go here and they start doing this whole, we trying to convert everybody over to Christianity, they started trimming off some things. And they started making some syncretism in order to help people, in order to get people to understand their way of doing things. So in Zambian Pungu, the supreme being became associated with the high Christian God. Your Basembi, okay, they, for the most part, were water spirits, like I said, but they end up becoming associated with the Christian idea of angels, okay? Your ancestor spirits, your Bakulu, they ended up being associated with the Catholic saints. And most of the nature spirits, they basically, for the most part, they were kind of dispersed and, they were kind of gotten rid of, okay, if they were, absorbed into the whole Basembi lexicon. They were pretty much, like I said, most of your nature spirits, they weren't given any type of title. But then you also had these spirits that were referred to as BaKongo, okay? They were considered to be like your evil ancestors, your negative ancestral spirits. Which were, for the most part, they were woodland spirits. I came across a book by a Dr. Simon Bockie, Deaf and Invisible Powers, I think that's what it's called, Kongo Belief. And in there, he refers to the BaKongo as being like they were, like I said, evil ancestors or your evil dead that basically were transformed into lizards, okay? And that's like they were transferred into lizards, and that was based upon the fact that there was a lot of lizards that was going ahead and they were running all around the cemetery or so. But these were, for the most part, like I said, they were woodland spirits. These spirits end up being associated with your devils or with the demons in Christian, in the Christian lore, okay? And this is basically the new Kongo religion. So when the enslaved Congo-Angolan people were brought to the Americas, this is what they came here with, okay? They came here with some of those old ideas, some of the old Kongo ideas and old Kongo beliefs, but they also had this religious syncretism between the Kongo way and Christianity. They also came here with that, okay? Excuse me. Excuse me. So they went ahead and they arrived here. They arrived here in North America, or arrived here in the Americas with that. All right? Now, Kongo spirituality, it kind of focused on the main focus of Kongo spirituality, based upon my research, based upon my understanding. It revolved around the ancestors. And when I'm saying it revolved around the ancestors, I'm not saying it revolved around, I'm not saying that the people, they worship the ancestors. Okay, that's not what happened. But the ancestors, for the most part, they dictated the right way of doing things. Okay, they went ahead, when you talk to your ancestors went ahead and they was like, okay, this is the way in which you go ahead and you get into, if we go back to the, like I said, the Congo cosmogram, this is the way you go ahead and get everlasting life. This is how you go ahead and become an eternal soul. All right. This is what you have to do. You have to follow the path of the sun. The ancestors were the ones that went ahead and stated that. The ancestors went ahead and they were the ones that dictated and encouraged and protected the living and helped the living go ahead and get this way, to get everlasting life. Okay? So when my ancestors and my guys are telling me, this is why Alfonso was trying to get rid of that. Okay? Because if you go against the ancestral way, your ancestors go ahead and they tell you, no, don't do that. Okay? They gave you that spirit of rebelliousness. All right? And this, okay, if you're piecing this together, this is what Alfonso didn't like. Okay? And if the theory is correct, if the lore is correct, that explains the reason why he was like, hey, let me go ahead and enslave these people and get rid of them and ship them out of here. Okay? Hence the reason why so many of us, when we arrived, when so many of our ancestors, when they arrived here in North America or arrived in the Americas, they were so rebellious. Very, very rebellious. Okay? And very, very resistant towards anything that the Europeans was trying to force upon them. Okay? Again, go back and look at the history. Go back and look at, look at all the different slave revolts that initially began. Okay? This all ties into it. All right? So, Kongo spirituality, like I said, it's centered around the ancestors. And it's centered, and all this could be tied together using what is called an Nkisi. Okay? Now, you hear a lot of people talk about Nkisi means charm, and it means this and that and the other. But based upon my research, based upon what I've read, what I've come across, the original term for Nkisi, I believe, means spirit, or it means power. Okay? It refers to the life force, or refers to spiritual power. And this is from, I believe it was Dr. Luyaluka. Okay, he's done some research, extensive research about this. Okay, again, I'm gonna put my receipts in the comment section, in the description rather, so you can go ahead and check it out yourself. All right, but based upon like I said, my research, the original term of Nkisi is that it is a spiritual power. This is why in Zambian-Bugo, the supreme being is considered to be the supreme being, or is the supreme being, because it has the most Nkisi. Okay? It has the most spiritual power. But when the Portuguese went in and they were trying to understand this and trying to create this syncretism to try to explain their way of doing things, when the Congo people went ahead and were saying, hey, we deal with the Nkisi, okay? They was talking about spiritual power. The Portuguese misinterpreted this. And, based upon my research, this is what I'm thinking what happened. The Portuguese went ahead and they misinterpreted it. And they interpreted it as the Congo people basically worship Nkisi, okay? And as a result, the term Nkisi ended up being something that refers to, like I said, refers to a fetish, okay? So, for instance, a church ended up becoming, they called a church Enzo Nkisi. Excuse me. They called it Enzo Nkisi, which is a house of Nkisi. But to the Congo people, it just meant that there was a power inside of there. They talked about a spiritual medicine or a medicine. It's called Nkisi, okay, which the Portuguese referred to as a fetish. But there was a spirit that was inside that medicine, okay? That was the activating power that made it an Nkisi, okay? And that's the reason why the way in which you had to activate it was by hitting it with a nail, tying it down, okay? Putting a knot on there, licking your nail and hammering it, or hammering a blade into it. That's how you had to activate it, because there was a spirit inside the Nkisi. There was a spirit inside the medicine, okay? But they didn't understand that, or maybe they did, okay? So the reason why I'm telling you about that is because when the Congo, our Congo ancestors, Congo-Angolan ancestors, when they were brought to the Americas, this is what they brought with them, okay? So our Nkisi, okay, our spiritual medicines in Cuba are what they refer to as, in Palo Mayombe, is what they refer to as a prenda, okay, or they call it an nganga, okay? In the Macumba tradition in Brazil, you have those different Nkisi, their spiritual medicines that they have there, okay? Same thing. In Haiti, okay, you have the Paquette Congo. That was their spiritual medicine that they called the Paquette Congo, okay? In North America, they called it the Moyo, or Mojo, or a Toby, all right? Your historical mojo bag, all right? So this is all part of the whole Congo tradition, and is a continuation of the Congo tradition. The thing that I have found that a lot of people who want to, and I'm saying this even for myself, a lot of people who want to go ahead and they want to practice Congo spirituality, because they don't really understand the philosophy behind the Congo spiritual tradition, because they don't understand what took place and the historical things that have taken place, we always get caught up in this whole thing of, and forgive me for this, but I'm not trying to put anybody on blast when I'm saying this, but we get caught up in romanticizing the old way of doing things, or romanticizing what took place in Africa, or why they did certain things, and we're fascinated with that. And this is mainly because somewhere within our psyche, we do not believe that we are authentic, or that what we are doing, or that what our ancestors are doing is authentic. And then we have these other people, people who actually come here, who migrate here, who tell us, oh yeah, but your stuff is not all that. Your stuff is not, it ain't, it's not that powerful or any of that. Okay. And if you really understand the Kongo way, okay, if you really, really understand the Kongo way and you understand the Kongo history, you would be able to respect and be able to figure out how to do your own thing. Because the thing about the Kongo spirituality or Kongo spiritual tradition is that it was highly adaptable, okay? Very highly adaptable. That's the reason why our spirituality continued to exist. Our ancestral spirituality continued to exist, okay? Those Basembi spirits are in the baptism pool. Nobody understands that until you go ahead and you understand Kongo spirituality. That's the reason why when people go ahead and they get baptized, they come out and all this other kind of stuff, speaking in tongues and everything, because they got our ancestral spirits over there. All right, elevated ancestral spirits, people who understand what they're doing, these church people who understand what they're doing, they know our stuff is in there, okay? They know that those spirits are there, all right? So the Kongo spirituality, it is there, all right? If you're on the Kongo spiritual path, if you're interested in practicing Kongo spirituality, okay, this is, you're doing it, okay? The only thing you have to go ahead and you have to tap into, that you have to really, really go ahead, if you really, really want to practice Kongo spirituality, the only thing that you really, really have to do is start dealing with your ancestors. Once you start dealing with your ancestors, it becomes a whole different game changer, because the ancestors go ahead and they start speaking. They start speaking to you. They start explaining stuff to you. They start telling things, telling you things that will help you go ahead and come into the way of doing things, okay? In the process, you probably will become very rebellious, because there's a certain way that the ancestors, they want us to live, okay? And it's not, and understand, it's not worship, okay? They are all about righteousness. But in order for you to go in here and actually get this power, okay, in order for you to go ahead and really, really to trigger, from my understanding, the Nkisi, okay, to get that real power, okay, to become that power, okay, in order for you to do that, there's certain things that you have to do. There's a certain way you have to live, okay? If you do not live this way, they're not going to open up the path for you to get that wisdom, for you to get that insight, for you to get that power, okay? All right? Think about this. Think about what I'm saying here. And this is part of the reason why. And I know a lot of people, there's a lot of people that they're hating when I'm saying this. But this is part of the reason why I keep saying, all right, I keep saying that our ancestors didn't call it hoodoo. They didn't call this hoodoo, all right? Hoodoo was included in it. The quote-unquote witchcraft was included in that. But this was not about hoodoo, okay? They had a spiritual way of doing things. You had to go ahead and that's part of the reason why, if you go back and you look at the video of Miss Alexander, what she's saying, talking about the minister went ahead and he prayed and they fasted in order to cast out, in order to clear their grandmother of whatever was, inflicting her. That whole praying and fasting was one of the what do you call it? One of the ritualized ways that the Congo-Angolan people went ahead and figured out how to work the spirit, how to activate the Nkisi. Okay? But if you don't focus on that, if you don't get that, and all you think of is, oh, all, Congo spirituality just deals with, lighting candles and, casting this and casting the spell and doing all this other kind of stuff, then you miss what Congo spirituality deals with. You totally miss the wealth of wisdom, the wealth of power that basically Kongo spirituality has to offer. Okay, and again, I'm not saying this because I'm trying to go ahead and get people to focus on this path or that path and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying this is one of the same things that I used to think about before. And I remember talking to my mentor, and I was like, hey, when he was asking me I was asking, hey, is the tradition really about just going ahead and, casting a spell on this, or casting a spell on this person and all this other kind of stuff? And he was clarifying. He was like, no, that's what they portray. That's how the media portrays it. And that's how a lot of people, unfortunately, how they see our spirituality. Okay. But that's not it. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. In order to practice Kongo spirituality, you have to realize and you have to recognize that our ancestors went ahead and they made sacrifices. They trimmed off certain things and all that kind of stuff in order to have an effective tradition the way it is now. But now we're in a different stage. Okay. The reason why the old Kongo system didn't work when it was brought over here is because it was obsolete. And once you go ahead and you start to understand this, and you really start to like I said, work with your ancestors, you really start to communicate and talk to your ancestors, they will explain things to you. They will go ahead and show you how to do certain things. So the one thing you have to do, the one thing, if you really want to practice Kongo spirituality, the one thing you have to do is really work on your intuition. That's the first thing you have to do. Really work on your intuition. And the best way to go in here and doing that is by working with your ancestors, honoring your ancestors on at least a weekly basis, honoring your ancestors. Once you go ahead and you do that, you honor your ancestors and everything, they'll go ahead and they'll help you to develop your way. They'll help you to get on that path. And they'll teach you how to make your own spiritual medicines. They'll teach you how to make it in Kisi. Okay? And it can be very, very simple. All right? And you'll see the relationship. Okay? You'll see that basically all it deals with is you going ahead and having a connection with your ancestors, working with your ancestors. That's the basis of Kongo spirituality. All right? So I hope that clarifies some things. If you got comments, questions, or suggestions, feel free, drop me a line. Okay? I am open to this. And, again, this is my life. This is my path. And I'm here to help anybody who is on that path, as best I possibly can. Okay. But so if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, feel free to drop me a line. Until next time, peace.